Yeah, but I'm definitely taking it as a souvenir because that wouldn't have lasted another lap, I'm sure. But yeah,
I know.
Down to the canvas, that's how it should be done. So anyway, I'm going to pass over to Scott Woodward anyway now because I'm going to go and rejoin with the team and get some lunch and try and chill out for a bit. So yeah,
fair dues, fair dues. Thank you very much, Callum. Good to have his insight alongside Anthony Jordan. And rejoining, it's the two of us again. We're back in the saddle, myself and Mr. Scott Woodward. Here in the commentary box overlooking the National Pit Straight. So just under 3 hours of the 2019 Distrigo Parts Distribution 24-hour C1 encounter here at the home of British Motorsport, Silverstone. Scott, it's been I've had some very interesting chats in the pit lane with the likes of Warren McKinley, who's been doing double duty with Britcar, with Team Brit, but also with Misty Racing, who are currently 19th at the moment in the running order of things. I did notice that on some of the feed earlier that it looks like there's been a bonnet change on the team Merlin International, or it looks like it's been a bit more battle, Scott. I did see that Sammy Bowler came in with a right front flat a few moments ago.
Yeah, it hasn't calmed down as much as we left it when we left it a few hours ago, so it seems to have got even more energetic. We've had a couple of safety cars along the way with various incidents going on. We just had a very close call just then. We had three cars heading into Abbey Corner together.
Yeah.
The Prep Tech car was in the middle. One car moved across to go towards the racing line, and there was side-to-side contact as a result, but everyone got away just about unscathed. Very loose moment, I think, for the 308 car that just got away with that one. So, but we have gone past the 3 hour mark, so what we will do is give you a run through of who is where at the moment in terms of positions. So still in the lead.
I'll just give it a quick refresh on TSL timing. So
yeah, for some reason it's missing position number 1 for some reason on the top of the timing string, which is a bit unusual. It should still be the car of Patrick Watts, Tim Hartland and Simon Harrison that leads the current way, and they lead by apparently 2 laps from the MSA, our Old Hat Motorsport team of Tom Hutchings at the wheel. Third place now, again from 99th on the grid, at the back of the grid after they were put there after qualifying for being underweight, is now Joe Wiggin at the wheel of the number 347 Muck Attack racing car. And fourth place now for Citroen Racing with Nyland at the wheel of that car. In P5 now, Katie Milne back at the wheel of the Team Merlin International 480 car. Sixth place for Ryan Bensley, of course this is for the ASR machine we've just seen, Callan Cripps. Seventh place for Russ Ollivant, who's currently at the wheel of the Alexan Holmes and number 401 car. Gary Preble is back at the wheel of the 398 Silver Lake Racing car in 8th position. 9th position for Little in the Emax Motorsport number 345. And rounding out the top 10 is the number 4 is Stone at the wheel of the number 419 Viking machine as well. Also up then 11th place, a good run, a solid effort from Bianca Auto Developments with Paul Plant at the wheel. With number 12th position for the number 370, which is, if I remind myself who that is Spy Motorsport with Joshua Potter at the wheel.
Yes, with 3 apprentices still continuing to back that team thanks to Student Motorsport. Very well aligned with JB Data Engineering based out of Norfolk. He's been I know that Jordan Bird has been catching up with the commentary as it happens. We've got a stopper there.
I was about to say that was the 447, but I don't think it is. It looks like it's possibly
464 maybe.
Yeah, 464. That is who it might be. 464 is showing as 464 Racing. That's Simon Hatfield, Ben Amos, Chris Allen, Michael Mattock and Edward Moore. That car stopped just after the bridge on the run down the Hanger Straight. So whether or not if that has to be recovered, of course that will receive an automatic 3-lap penalty for outside assistance for being recovered.
Currently 67th on the road with Chris Allen behind the wheel of that car. So
we've also got a stop and go penalty for car number 391. That's for overtaking under the safety car. So that is CDMC. That's the Ian Witt, Abigail Witt, Chris Pidcock, Adam Hayes and Charmaine Farrell car. That's number 395 on the road. It was the Exit 13 machine. That's the Alan Evans, Matthew Plum, Paul Laurie, Andrew Marrett, Dean Hale and Alistair Dendy machine in car 395. A little bit of interference on the cameras, but it should shake itself out in a second, hopefully. There we go. Looking back with this battle going on here, this is between the 309.
That is Bengineering currently in 15th position, and behind them is Bianco Auto Developments, who are actually a lap ahead, Scott, so that's not a battle for position at the moment.
And 4 places ahead on the road as well, which is 11th place in the standings at the moment for Bianco Auto Developments. Paul Plant, the man behind Bianco Auto Developments, at the wheel of that car, so it's a self-prepared machine. They're chasing down the 303. That's at the C1 Club car. That's Jason Barron, Rainer Becker, Jürgen Rudolph, motoring journalist Matt Pryor, and Dan Trent, the wheel of that car, number 303. I think it's definitely outside the top 25 as far as I can see. Now that I think it's the 464 car still hasn't moved since it stopped. But of course, if they have to recover that car, whether they'll be have to warrant a safety car, or they'll just cover that section with double waved yellows, and then bring that car back to pit lane as soon as possible. And safety cars just.
Well, safety car has been deployed, so the Citroen C5 Aircross safety car. Well, that was on a previous. That was on a.
Okay, apologies. That was not. Sorry, that was that was a previous version of the timing screen that we had up at that point in time. But it has started brightening up again here at Silverstone. It looks like the circuit has just about completely dried up now. So whatever precipitation and rain that we had on the circuit seems to have cleared, and now we've pretty much got what's now becoming a straight fight for second and third now. 25 seconds is the gap, and Joe Wiggin is closing in Tom Hutchings by pretty much at least 5 seconds a lap now at this point in time.
Yeah, Hutchings did a 3:07.932, and Wiggin did a 3:02.972. So now there looks to be some marshal activity just before the bridge there. So they're just assessing the situation. Obviously the car is to a point out of the firing line, but the biggest question is that as there's more rally crossing going on, that corner definitely is catching out a few people left, right and centre. It looks like, yep, yellow flags are being waved, so that is a good call. No safety car being called, so the Citroen C5 Aircross safety car probably is awaiting to be deployed. Mark Wally, yes, we also still have on TSL timing. I've tried refreshing it a couple of times. It is still showing that MSAR Old Hat Motorsport showing in second. So the leaders at the moment have completed. Well, they're on to lap number 351, and by the end of said lap, they will have completed 1,285 miles from lights out, Scott. That's quite a lot of mileage when you consider the amount of torture, not just the tyres, but the machinery in general, has been put under the cosh over, the last 21 hours or so.
I think the driver signals to the marshals, "Can you give me a push?" And he's like, "Other way around."
Oh, no.
Here's the recovery vehicle on its way to save him.
So if they're doing this could be under a double weight yellow situation here, as the driver now is trying to lift the bonnet. Now,
you should really be behind the fence and sort that out when a car gets back to the pit lane, but not really whilst there's an active circuit with cars on the track, because the longer he does that, the more chance there is of having to throw more yellow flags and slow the race down even further. So he really should. Well, personally, I feel he
should be either behind the fence or behind the wheel.
Yeah, one of the two. But I think he sort of had a look at something, and now he's realising that it's best for him to jump back in. Now he's been told, "Yep, get back in your car, close the door, and we'll take you back." So.
Yeah. So we'll find out the official confirmation on who gets ordered the 3-lap penalty, but we think it is the possibly the 464. But still, it's still such a glorious sight to see these cars after 20. Well, I mean, we are basically at nigh on 90% race distance here in terms of time, and I have to say that a credit to everybody. Including the marshals, the teams. There are people in these crews that have been up for over 30 hours. They've had to prep the cars ready for the kickoff at 5:30 yesterday evening, and now we're going up to, well, it's 20 to 3, and it just goes to show the testament of the human spirit, and the willpower to come rain or shine or whatever weather you're getting thrown at you. And it is 464 that it is confirmed, as we suspected, is getting the 3-lap penalty. So that's 464 Racing now being pulled. No safety car required, so they must have done it under double weight yellows there. So good call by race control to keep the race circulating. So yeah, they'll be pulled back to the pits, and then they'll get them back up and going. Obviously, we've had teams that have I wouldn't say misjudged, but I think it's just that sometimes we've had teams like Clayton Kingman was explaining earlier on to me when I was in the booth before heading down into the pit lane, that there were teams that were trying to calculate the fuel. And yeah, it's quite a tricky thing to do, and this is where the fatigue is really setting in for everybody, not just the drivers behind the wheel, but the teams as well themselves.
Yeah, and that's, you get to this point in the race where, because some drivers, some team members will have had very little amounts of sleep, so because of that they're more prone to mistakes, they're more prone to errors, not just on the track but also when it comes to pit stops, and that can obviously factor into slower times getting out the pits, losing time.
Scott, interesting bit of information for you.
Yeah.
The fastest lap of this race was set on lap number 350. Mac Attack Racing with Wigan behind the wheel in the 347. A 3-minute 1.813.
So, well, it's not entirely that's a personal best for them. The actual fastest lap of the race is currently held by the 393 team, Sussex Road and Race, with a 3 minutes 1.488, and that was set on lap 318. So that's a personal best for them.
Okay, so if it's purple, yeah, I look at so many different types of timing screens. So
it's not just teams; it's commentators that are getting.
I know
it's
been a long day. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it's been a long 24 hours. Never mind a day.
Yeah.
Just seen the Merlin Engineering, the Merlin International car going through the left-hander at Aintree up through onto the Wellington Straight. Casey Muller still at the wheel of that class, but now is 35.4 seconds back and was a second quicker than Citroen Racing. That's been a battle over the last few hours between those two in terms of going back and forth in the positions. But you have to say, in terms of something that's extraordinary, we still keep talking about it. The fact that Mac Attack Racing started back of the grid, is we've got one car skating off the road. Now, I don't think there was again, we can't quite tell exactly who it is, but he's using plenty of runoff area to get it back on the road. That was a close rejoin as well. It was getting in front. A spin also, that's for the 342. So that's for SF Racing. Have had a spin up at the. That is on the exit of Abbey Corner. 342 is SF Racing, Sean Fleming, Gary Wager and John Wall at the wheel of that car.
So for 432, just checking where they are in...
no, 342.
342, my apologies. Right, I'm going to scroll all the way back down. 342.
90th place.
90th place at the moment, with Manpower Motorsport still showing in the pits, 122 laps off the leaders. It looks like we've still got quite a few in the pits as well. Midway Motorsport 374 and 87th, they're in the pits. Majestic Motorsport 421, that was the one that had the radio.
I know that ITC 1, their car is actually parked up in the paddock, I'm afraid, because their car, it looks relatively undamaged as far as I can see, but it looks obviously what appears to have been, I guess, a terminal mechanical failure that's kept them out of the race, unfortunately, which is a shame. I saw them in the paddock, that car parked up in the paddock a couple of hours ago, so I guess they're just sort of here for the rest of the ride and just to see what they can do to watch it was. There's the Citroen car in what is now 3rd position. And there's Vikings, of course, back in 10th position, but they're, of course, a few laps apart and several positions apart on the road, but it won't stop these guys from battling. And in between them, it looks to be the Esports and Stars car. And well, that's still got Brendan Lee at the wheel of that car, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I had a nice chat with Miguel Faisca earlier on, and yeah, they're currently 50th at the moment.
Yeah, so it's Richard Roberts at the wheel of that car.
So yes, the relative unknown, I think, if I remember correctly. So,
yeah.
But I have to say that I was speaking with Miguel Faisca a bit earlier on, and he said that there was one car that was sort of having a battle with him, and the reason why the tailgate flew up was because there was a car on lighter fuel behind and that was slipstreaming with Miguel, and then all of a sudden Miguel would brake to try and do the defensive line side of things, and then all of a sudden gets attacked from behind. And it was only, one tap too many, and then all of a sudden the tailgate opens, and like Miguel also said to me that he got pinged for 2 stop-go penalties because of the U tags. So he thought, well, because I'm not effectively, there's no driver change, I shouldn't need to do it. But the regulation states that you need to U-tag even if you are staying in the car. So yeah, and there we go, the 464 now being towed away.
There's the top 6 at the bottom of the screen, a 2-lap advantage for the second place car, MSAR Old Hat Motorsport. Apparently it is leaders are now showing again on the timing screen if you want to refresh it.
Yep, okay.
Apparently they should pop at the top. Not for us, they haven't, unfortunately.
Oh, that's
for some
a shame.
reason.
You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can open up a new window and see if that does anything. No. Exactly the same thing. But yeah, the leaders will be on lap number 354 here at Silverstone. So we're close to getting towards the 400 lap mark completed here.
Just seen McAtack Racing go through Copse Corner there on the shot. You should have seen it. It's the black, yellow and pink cars. They turned their way through the right-hander. Just refreshed it, and Circuit Pro reappeared at the top of the times. Was sort of very wayward on the exit of Chapel Corner as they come up onto the Hangar Straight. I think someone's going a little bit slower than they would have liked, keeping off the line. Whether it's someone who's simply just one of the sort of less experienced drivers on the road, or that's McAtack Racing. That's the 303 into the pit lane. That's the Nankang Tyre sponsored C1 Club car.
Also in the pits is the 401 of Alexon Holmes, currently sitting in 7th position.
That's Russ Oliver, who's a double catering champion, has brought that car into the pit lane.
And they're currently 4 laps off the lead at the moment.
There is a car slowing, you can see on the left-hand side. I did think it was going pretty slowly onto the back straight. So let's possibly have a look and see who it might be. I don't know if our cameras can possibly zoom in a tiny bit. Who it is? It's 449 that's got the problem.
Orange Motorsport in 20th position with Glynn behind the wheel.
Yeah, Steve Glynn. Steve has pulled that car off. Not completely off it, he's only put it slightly onto the grass, so that will certainly prompt a swift recovery for that car. But again, another C1 sort of falling by the wayside. It's not out of the race. I believe that rule is in effect. If you fall off within a certain time right at the end of the race, that's it, your race is over and you get no recovery. Usually in some races it's in the last half an hour or the last 15 minutes. I don't know exactly what I have to admit, I haven't seen what the exact time is on that in terms of when that sort of cut-off point is, but normally in these endurance races, if you fall off, it's either the last 15 or the last 30 minutes.
Yeah,
that's it. If you stop, then that's it, there's no more recovery back to the pit lane. That is it, your race is over. So, and that can be pretty galling after what, maybe if you retire within half an hour of the race, you can go in for 23 hours and 30 minutes and suddenly the car gives up with less than half an hour to go.
Oh, yeah.
That can be absolutely gutting. And of course, there are sort of certain racing teams around the world in certain endurance races that know exactly how that feels like.
Yeah, that's very, very true indeed. I mean, I'm actually going to have a look at the final. I'm going to have a look at the sporting and technical regulations for what you were saying about the, with regards to finishing the race itself. So that will be quite interesting to find that out.
The driver has removed himself from the orange 449, the Orange Motorsport car. So Steve Glynn is there behind the barrier. Giving the thumbs up to the marshals, I think, on the other side. He's good, he's all okay. Can't say the same mechanically about the car at the moment for some reason. What that reason is, we'll wait and see.
Okay. Driving time, I've got to race finishes. They have, well, I'm going to have a bit of a scroll down further on this, Scott, because I want to find out. I mean, obviously, there's a race finish procedure, which is Article 2.14. As per the sporting and technical regulations, yeah, I mean, the thing is that for the 24-hour race, no driver can complete more than 60% of the race duration in total, which is, very good. Drivers can't go any more than 180 minutes or 3 hours continuously, and they have to rest for at least an hour between stints. And driving will be deemed to include any time spent in the pits when the driver brings in the car and then rejoins. Classification, all starters in a race will be classified in the results according to the number of completed laps. So there is, yeah, there we go. So let's just have a look.
So we found the ruling. It says 2.19 on towback. It does say cars that stop on circuit may only be worked by the driver alone. However, cars may be towed back to the pits by the organisers if requested by the driver to do so, where they may be worked on as required. Towbacks may be prioritised by the organisers at their sole discretion after, if necessary, consulting the clerk of the course, as they occur for the overall good of the event, or they may decide to refuse a towback if the car is too badly damaged or too difficult to move. And then the next point is, all cars will be towed back to the pit lane. These towback rules only apply up until the final hour of the race, where the organisers will tow cars to the nearest place of safety. So there is your answer to that one. So this basically means that for the first 23 hours of the race, if you have a problem and it's able to be towed back to the pit, you can do so. The second it ticks past 1 hour to go, If you then have a problem, that's it.
You're scuppered.
That's it. The car is deemed. They will not tow the car back to the pit lane. The car is effectively, I'm afraid to say, out of the race, really. So that is the point which needs to go on.
Seems like we might be having a technical problem with our stream at the moment.
Yeah, apologies for that, ladies and gents. If you are still watching us, I think somewhere on, hopefully on Facebook at some point, because we are streaming on both YouTube, Facebook, and we are back now. So thankfully we are all good. All good. Apologies for the small hiccup there.
So 2 hours, 39 minutes and 35 seconds remaining of the Distrigo Parts Distribution 24 hours Citroen C1 adventure here at Silverstone.
It certainly has been an adventure for plenty of people out there this weekend. It's for people either driving for the first time or veterans of various forms of racing, whether it's single-seaters or sports cars or GTs or touring cars. For them, it's either been a completely new experience or an experience that they've had before, but not necessarily in this particular way. And these guys really have adapted to it well. But the great thing is that overall, the majority of the drivers that have done this so far as I've seen, they've absolutely loved it. They've thoroughly enjoyed the experience, and they really have. I think most of them are not only sort of gearing up to get themselves in place for next year's event or for the Anglesey 24 hours, but at the same time thinking about inspiring many other people to get involved as well. I know we've had plenty of people watching the stream who have found it fascinating that these kind of cars can exist in such a championship, and indeed it's inspiring them to think, how can they get involved, how can they get themselves onto the track as well. Of course, as we say, you can head to the website c1racing.club, and it'll give you all the information that you need to get yourself started in the championship, and you can even be on the grid before the end of the season, because of course it's only the second meeting of the year for the C1 Racing Club. Their first one was at Croft just a few weeks ago, and of course they're here for the first of 3 24-hour races as well.
Yes, which include the iconic Spa-Francorchamps this coming up late October, which Clayton Kingman has said that they're hopefully Advantech Motorsport will hopefully be doing that as well.
I just had a message through, sadly, from Luke Satch. He says that car 421, which if I quickly confirm, 421, which is the Majestic Motorsport squad. Unfortunately, I'm afraid to say that car is, well, in his words, dead, basically out of the races after 2 engine changes, and now coming in after losing all its oil, the bottom end of the 3rd engine is, in his words, knackered. So they've gone through 2 engine changes, 3 engines, which is incredible, and I'm afraid just before the 2.5 hour mark, the car's given up the ghost, sadly. So that is unfortunately retirement that we can effectively confirm. That is car 421 out of the race, I'm afraid, to Majestic Motorsport's 24-hour adventure here at Silverstone has come to an end just before the 2.5 hour mark.
Yeah, that is a real shame. There's been a bit of movement with the 449. The Recovery Land Rover has been out and is towing it back as we speak. So great pick up there by our camera crew here, and there's some debris on the track there, Scott.
That looks like on the outside of the approach to Brooklands it is. So someone going to come across that. Ooh, I thought one of the eSports and Stars car was going to sweep across that, but it seems to be just about enough off that racing line where they sweep in towards the late apex of the left-hander at Brooklands. So all is well at that point, as we've seen. We're at a stage now in this race where, for the most part, the field seems to be rather spread out. As this one missed it, one of the cars they're going the outside line to let, I think it was one of the stand-up to cancer cars going through, just ran over it sort of rather carelessly. So as he gets through, there's the McAttack racing car in 2nd place.
Yep.
And
now when the leader crosses the line to complete lap number 355, Scott, the leader will have officially covered just over 1,300 miles. So looks to be on course to getting somewhere between the 1,500 to 1,750 mile distance in terms of how far the leader has covered over 24 hours. There has been a stop-go penalty for the 391 for a U-tag infringement, so obviously that whoever's behind the wheel of that car will have to serve a stop-go penalty.
So I'm quite down the order by the looks of things. 391 is the CDMC squad, so that's Ian Witt, Abigail Witt, Chris Pidcock, Adam Hayes and Charmaine Farrell. That car is going to have to come in and serve its stop-and-go penalty. Currently
76th at the moment, 54 laps off of the leaders, running in around the 3 minute 20 second barrier at the moment.
Mark Wall on the stream, thanks for clarifying. It's a floppy marker post that's come off, so somebody's been attacking these corners a little bit too hard recently, and it's laying there pretty much in the middle of the road, but just about offline for these drivers to hit it. And I think that looks like the Rusty Nail racing car was taking a very wide line into the corner. May have just clipped it, I think.
Yeah. Also, one car that I've been keeping a key eye on, Area Motorsport, have Carl Swift behind the wheel once again.
We do.
And Carl is currently
in 69th place, and he's currently at the wheel of that number 384.
Yep, and is 1 lap adrift from Superleggera Racing in the 479.
And pace-wise, he was 5 seconds quicker on that last lap, so he's able to get himself in front and then get back around again to pick up another place. That will certainly be helpful. What he also is probably hoping for, and it's a horrible thing to hope for, of course, I know, but is that he gets a few more drivers dropping out with the mechanical problems. So let's see how that one plays out. With a few more cars here. That's one of the Prep Tech cars battle with the standard cancer car. And well, who needs, where we're going, we don't need roads. We just cut across the circuit and to jump back onto the circuit. But he rejoins right in front of the 3 cars he was battling with. So that would have frightened him. Another one goes wide on the exit as well. So can't say we're not pushing the limits, and another one goes wide on the exit. This is the place where it's all happening. I know Silverstone's opened a rallycross circuit recently, but they're all practicing for the next round of the British Rallycross Championship.
Well, also they've got WRX with Speed Machine hitting the home of British Motorsport at the tail end of next month.
Yes, they have.
With the likes of Timmy Hansen, Timo Scheider, Andreas Backerud, Liam Duran with the Monster RX Cartel. They're going to be here in person, and I tell you what, that's going to be one brilliant event. I mean, Wild RX coming back to Silverstone again, so that should be a corker. But yeah, I don't know whether people are going to decide to do oval dirt track racing or British Rallycross if they've had a few off-track excursions coming off of the National Pit Straight, Scott.
It is a fascinating thing to watch, just watching these guys push as hard as they dare and finding the limits and then exceeding them momentarily. As we watch through. Quick note from Michael Leach. How are Autocar doing? That'll be the 303 car, won't it?
That will be with because I think I saw Matt Pryor in the pits having a chat with some of his teammates a little bit earlier on. So 303 at the minute.
That's the Jason. Into the loop.
Yeah, I did see the when I was down in the pits for quite a spell today that the 394 of AB Motorsport was actually put on the trailer, unfortunately. So that's a real shame because they were fighting quite hard at the front of the field a bit earlier on in the race. So yeah, a 24-hour race will always be a race of attrition, and it is about keeping it on the black stuff, keeping it calm and composed, making sure that you're not taking any undue risks. I mean, it was great to chat with Jen Hepworth earlier on about her viewpoint of when when we had the two colliding together, which included Team Tivoli. And
did she mention that if there was any contact with the car or not?
Yeah, I mean the thing is that she was trying to go through the, she said that she had enough room going through the gap between the pair of them, and then all of a sudden she basically said that I had to put on the brakes, and then what happened was that there was the slightest touch, but I think it was just probably where she said that maybe manpower might not have seen her, so which could have very well been the case. I mean, if they've lost the wing mirror, that's a very logical explanation, and credit where credit is due that Jen was. So I mean, at the end of the day, to see it from her perspective, it's quite interesting because she was right behind the pair, trying to make a move and actually trying to split the pair of them, so to speak. Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, it could really be. I think having heard that side of the story and sort of seeing it from that perspective, I think you could possibly class that as racing incident. But there's been no penalty issued, so it looks like race control have gone, well, it's a racing incident. They just need to get on with it.
It's now become a rather pleasant sunny Sunday afternoon's drive now for the teams and drivers out there, because the sun is now starting to shine through the clouds here at Silverstone. It's nice and bone dry as well, which means that lap times will be pretty much at a premium in terms of how quick they're going to be. 406 Misty Racing says Marvin Hall, 19th place for them at the moment, with 409. Who's it with that? That's 406, sorry. With that
406,
car.
that's Steve Kite behind the wheel, with Warren McKinley set to get into that car in around 10 or so minutes' time.
Yeah.
319 has just been given the meatball flag. That's Scuderia Sundial in 15th position at the moment. And behind the wheel,
it's Andrew Stacey, and that's the car that he's sharing with Paul Roderson and Grant Hatfield.
So at the moment, well, we've had a change between PrepTech and Emax Motorsport. Well, PrepTech have dropped all the way down to 21st. So yeah, whether that has been a pit stop, or whether has something happened, not sure. But they're about 11 laps off the leaders at the minute.
Oh, and that's one of the PrepTech cars that stopped.
That will be the 469 then. That's why they've got a 3-lap penalty for assistance. So luckily enough, it came in, and that is behind the wheel of the 469 is Oliver Fowler.
Yeah, sharing that car with Ali Topley, Simon Byrne, Jay Mooney and Aaron Cook. So another car hitting problems, and I think it's safe to say these little C1s are getting pretty tired, aren't they? Because they've been going now for almost over 21 and a half hours now, and they are starting to start to falter a little bit after some very hard racing all the way through. And they've had both rain and shine, sort of wet and dry conditions, day and night. They've had just about everything thrown at them,
apart from the kitchen sink.
Yeah, pretty much. But in some cases, maybe try and fix them, maybe including the kitchen sink, trying to get them fixed.
Well, the kitchen sink, I probably might be. Marcus Adams, are you guys at Alpha Live set to film and commentate at other races this season? As far as I'm aware, not for Citroen C1, but Marcus, if you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Alpha Live covers. They're covering the 750 Motor Club, I think, this year. They're covering British mini bikes with their series commentator Anthony Jordan with us here this weekend. The Wilton Mill Karting Club exploits. They're also doing the Bambino Kart Club in Rowra this coming August, and a whole host of other items as well. And I think that also includes the Fair FX Kart Masters Grand Prix at PF International later on this year. So there's plenty of action both on 2 and 4 wheels, karting, bikes, cars, the whole lot. You can tune into by hitting the subscribe button, hitting the notification bell, and that will instantly inform you by your smartphone, tablet or laptop when the next event is scheduled to take place. But of course there are 3 events running this weekend through Alpha Live. So they've got the Teesside Sprints happening at the moment. The Wilton Mill Kart Club, their latest round is currently underway. And of course here, with us at the Distrigo Parts Distribution C1 Racing Club 24-hour race here at Silverstone Grand Prix, with more Nankang tyres put through the ringer. Squealing for mercy. So yeah, it's the sun is definitely showing its prominence now amidst the overcast that we can sort of see out of our commentary box window. Now, a very good question from Loza29B. Do the towback penalties get added onto the live timing, or will they be added at the end of the race? Well, I would imagine they will be added
on straight away. Because I'd imagine it would take the officials quite a long time to have to add on so many different lap penalties at the end of the race if they ordered them after the conclusion of the race going through. So I'd imagine they would have to put them on straight away to avoid any potential confusion, and basically just make sure that people know exactly what's going on in each of those as well. And we've got one car in the pits.
That's the 464. Yeah, 464 Racing in the pits. So they've got the tailgate up now. Obviously, looking from the back part of the vehicle, you'll find that, say, things such as the fuel sender unit, which will be connected to the fuel tank, will be in the back of that car, as most production vehicles have nowadays. Thank you very much, Marcus. Not a problem at all. Has said, would love if you filmed C1s at Pembrey in June and the Anglesey 24 Hours in early September. Well, that's not down to us.
That's obviously down to the C1 Racing Club and Alpha Live themselves to decide what they want to do, but hopefully they can come to a deal and get them there. But of course, it's privileged for all of us to be, of course, to be covering, as effective as we say, history in the making for UK motorsport, of course, with the biggest, I think, single grid in UK motorsport with 99 Citroen C1s on the grid here, of course, and there are still a fair amount that are still running. We've only lost about, roughly 10 or 12 cars throughout the 22 and a half hours that we've had so far.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest global
They can have massive engine failure. They can have an incident with another car, or two other cars get caught up in somebody else's accident. Genuinely, anything can happen, and it has happened. At one point, we were thinking before we left air last night, Team Stella V had the lead, and it was pretty plain sailing for them. Then we come back in the morning and find out that only a couple of hours after we left that they rolled the car in the middle of the night.
Yes.
But they've dropped way down the order. And it's been the teams that have gone through and have pretty much just gone through lap after lap after lap, hour after hour, with minimal to no drama. And it's teams like, of course, the Circuit Pro team, Merc-Attack Racing, MSA Old Hat Motorsport, Citroen Racing, ASR not having many dramas. Apart from maybe a puncture, neither really have Team Early International, so any teams are. And other teams that moved back through the order. Now we've got like Alex and Holmes, pretty much been silent the whole way through, in a polite way I can put it, silent the whole way through,
yeah.
But they find themselves up in 8th place on the road at the moment, which is purely down to them just simply keeping their heads down, keeping it on the road, keeping out of trouble, and just getting on with the job at hand.
And one team that has been making moves up the order is Misty Racing, qualified 77th. and they are doing a change, and that signals to me that Warren McKinley from Team Brit is going to be doing his final part. He did a 3 a.m. stint when I spoke to him earlier on, and he just said it's quite obviously at the end of the day, it's he just said it's difficult making a fast car go fast, but then it's nicer in these cars because when something happens, if you drive a fast race car anyway, you're going to have more time to react. As again, we go 3 wide.
Ooh, that was close. Okay, it's when they move across to take their racing line, they realise, oh, there's a car there on the left-hand side. So they have to try and take as tight lines as they possibly can. They're just on the inside line coming up to make a move on track position there with McAttack Racing in second place. So that's another car they've ticked off on their line as well. I'm not sure if that car right there, the white car there, if that maybe is the leaders that just went through, because I know that their car is all white.
Well, that one that's coming up, I think, is what I recognise, the 373,
yeah,
which has the right front corner of the bumper not there anymore.
And they've had that pretty much since just after the start, in terms of, so that's been there for pretty much for just about the entire race. It hasn't really affected them too much in terms of reliability or pace. They've just simply got their head down and got on with it.
Other teams in the pits at the moment, Bengineering in 13th now in the pits. Scuderia Sundial obviously having the meatball flag showing to them a little bit earlier on. They're 15th in the minute. Misty Racing doing their driver change with Warren McKinley jumping behind the wheel now. Other teams at the moment, ELK who have been in the wars as well, 379. They're currently in the pits 51st at the moment. So, and also the 447 has been in the pits for quite a bit of time. That's GMP developments with QSP Quitco, which is the Kermit car that Mark Werrell has also been having a hand in piloting this weekend. And then, so yeah, not much pit lane activity, but obviously as we get towards the last 2.25 hours here, Scott, there's going to be, there's going to be some strategic plays, I think. Not necessarily for the lead, because obviously Patrick Watts in the lead car is just calmly getting on about business, knows how to lead, knows how to win a race, and is leading quite prominently at the 24 hours here at Silverstone. Yeah,
and using all the experience he's built up over the seasons to full effect. And it's good to see him, as we say, we keep on mentioning, reunited with his old sparring partner Simon Harrison in the pit lanes. 473.
Thank you.
That is the Rocket Media Backbone Motor sponsored car. That is Car Sport. That's Mike Parsons, Richard Ryder, Lewis Ryder, Stephen Graham and Charles Atherton.
Stephen Graham is behind the wheel but looks to be getting out. They're 46th at the moment. And looks like they're also going to be changing some tyres here. A couple of fresh new Nankangs for the front of this vehicle. So
somebody else in the background also stopped making a scheduled stop as well.
So whilst refueling is currently underway, under regulations, they cannot carry out the rest of the service on the vehicle. So Jack's under the front jacking points behind the front wheels on the car, ready to get that car up in the air.
That will be a scheduled front tyre stop then for them as they head their way through. There's there's another car, that's the CDMC car which went through the shot, the yellow car with one of the many cars without a windscreen.
And 385 looks to be in the pits now as well with Patrick Watts.
So our race leader then, so maybe we can catch them on screen as 377 to really move out of the way there for the other Silver Lake car that's on the road at the moment.
And had a lot of roll travel trying to turn left there at the same time, so it's not easy keeping these cars on the road, as the drivers have sort of admitted to us off camera during the course of this race. But yeah, it's quite interesting. Now we've had with the leaders now in the pits. That's going to be when they cross the start-finish line. It's going to be lap number 363 completed here. 2 hours, 15 minutes and 52 seconds remaining on the clock. And when you think about it, Scott, you know what we were saying about the fact that anything could happen in the next 2.25 hours. Anything is possible. I mean, when you think that you've got the top six cars split over 3 laps, so there is every opportunity for anybody to have that chance to get that strategy call right.
Yeah, what I find more impressive is a couple of cars are making some pit stops. I think one of them is the another car's gone a bit wayward. That's the 467 that was running a little wide there. 467.
That's Cat DT.
Actually, and we see what was it? Lucy Elizabeth on the stream was saying, shout out to Team Cat DT. There's the area motorsport car, the orange and black car, just heading to the shot, trying to put a move on the 358 of the 358, which is John Leopard. Sorry, John Leopold, Harry Nerja, and Ken Davies. And they're now going 3 abreast now. You've got area motorsport sandwiched in the middle now. There's the 309 in for a stop. That's the ASR team car, is it? 309? Sorry, 309. No. Sorry, that's 309.
309 is Bengineering again. So they're back in the pits.
Yeah, there's 308 on the right. One of the few cars out there with no front and rear windscreens.
Just like C1 USA, who just come into shot with the 416.
I love the fact that car is still going after everything that's happened. The hardy Americans are still keeping on, and. In a polite way, I can't see a C1 doing the. There's a race they have. I think it's the 25 hours of Thunder Hill. I think I can't see us do it. C1 particularly fitting into Thunder Hill 25 hours. I could be wrong. Someone may produce a souped-up sort of wine track version of it.
Oh, big smoke!
That's an engine failure, and that is. If it is an engine failure, that is the 401, and that I'm afraid.
That's Alex and Holmes in 10th position. That's major drama. That is spilling fluid all over the track.
That's Dan Quintero. That's I don't want to make light of the situation. That's a proper engine failure. That's just that engine really has gone bang. And it's. I think what he's trying to do is keep it right off the racing line, which is a considerate thing to do, because of course, if it's spewing any oil or fluid out the back of that car, the one place you don't want it to be is on the racing line, and he's going to try and. He really is trying to find a way off the.
He's trying to brake as well now, trying to brake it and turn it in.
And I wonder if he's maybe getting oil onto his or fluid onto his own front wheels.
That will be onto the exhaust. So if that has blown good and proper, the exhaust is smoking. Definitely as a result, because if an engine goes and the oil leaks onto the catalytic converter, that is going to literally go acrid, and so it's like a barbecue has been lit in the back part of that car.
Now the question we've got to wait and see to be answered is anyone going to be affected? Now he's going to try and pull it off to the inside line as much as he can. That
is going to bring out a safety car if he parks it on that side of the track.
Yeah, hazard lights going to warn the drivers, and of course I think an obvious one is going to be the big smoke coming out the back of that car as well. It's definitely not steam, that is absolutely engine smoke, and that's a shame, because that car had been going for so well, just for almost 22 hours, completely faultless, and now he's going to finally pull it off the road here and to safety. So if there is going to be yellow flags, it'll be purely to sort the any fluid that's been dropped down from that car, but he parks it well off the road, so there won't be any yellow flags or safety car for that, but that's a real shame. It's Daniel Quintero's at the wheel of that car, sharing it with Alex Jordan, and also I think it was Alex Jordan and 401. Let me bring it up.
Andrew Perry and Ross Olivan.
Yeah,
so
that's a quartet of regular catering racers who got out. It's Alex Jordan who built the car and put it together, but sadly, and he put together a very strong car. It just seems as though they pushed it literally one lap too hard, one lap too many.
And that's a real shame, because they qualified 40th and they were up into the top 10.
Yeah.
330 DHD in the pits as well.
We've also got one of the GMP cars in the pit lane as well. That's the 3.
Looks to be the 3. Well, I couldn't really make that out whether it's the 387 or the 351.
Might be the 387, I think, possibly. So we will.
That is the case. Currently 39th on track. Well, in the pit lane at the moment. So 387. As the 419 of Viking comes into the pit lane. They are also, Viking are currently 9th. So as a result of Dan Quintero having that massive engine failure just moments ago, that's going to drop them way out of the running order. That's going to promote Cockwomble into the top 10 in the 420. Who at the moment have got Tristan Judge behind the wheel of that car. As now the lead has changed. The lead has changed, obviously, with a pit stop. So back behind the wheel is the other half of the Peugeot tribute band, in the form of Mr. Harrison behind the wheel of the 385.
Yep,
so Mac Attack Racing now lead the race.
And what's interesting now is we're going to try and find. I think we could try and pick up 385 on the circuit somewhere, because, I have to be honest, we haven't really seen much of 385 out there, to be honest, in what I've seen on the road. Whereabouts is 3? I think this is a 3 at 5 through the right hand there.
That looks to be the case because it's a very murky white.
Yeah, and there seems to be one of the more plain-looking cars on the grid, without too many sort of graphics or sponsors on the side. And we'll probably get a note in a second.
There is ASR just coming into shot, the 390. So Callum Cripps now down in the pits supporting the team, and that looks to have at the moment behind the wheel Ryan Bensley in the 390. The 385 just coming into shot, coming across the start-finish line.
Just past our pit garage, so here we go. So it's the plain white car just coming into Copse now. This car in front of you right here, that's your man in second place, Simon Harrison. So coming up to the 2-hour mark in terms of what time left. The gap between the leaders is now just under half a lap now. It's 1 minute 22.940. What's impressive though is that Muckatak Racing are leading the way, but they're doing it on 3 more pit stops than Circuit Pro in second place.
Yeah.
That just shows how quickly they really have been lapping out there, with the help of the likes of the ASR team, who are out there giving a bit of a tow and sort of helping each other get closer towards the front.
Yes.
So that just shows how quick they really have been, that trio. And Joe Wiggin at the wheel, who is definitely no slack. Anything he drives, whether it's a front-wheel drive, a rear-wheel drive car. Oh, do we see was there a car stopped there just on the exit of the Wellington Straight? Either it was very wide or it was stopped on the exit of the Wellington Straight. I'm sure it was or not, but I'm not sure. This is just a run through Stowe Corner. But unless I was being mistaken by something else, like a trackside.
I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't spot anything there, Scott. But I mean, looking at sort of the pit stops that we had between Muckatak Racing and Circuit Pro, as it looks like, there we go. Team Merlin International with Katie Milner behind the wheel now pits from 5th on the road.
They are at the moment a lap ahead of the ASR squad. And they are 21 seconds back on the same lap as Citroen Racing. This battle's been going on. That car's been in the water a little bit since we last saw it. It's got some quite a lot of tape on that front end, to secure the lights in place, and that goes straight into this.
Looks like Alice Hughes is getting behind the wheel of that car now. So, well, Alice is actually round the back. So Katie Milner is out. Looks like Alice Hughes is waiting and primed, ready to get in, but she's got the fire extinguisher in her hand whilst they're refueling the car. So are we going to see, well, is it going to be Alice, is it going to be Jem Hepworth or Sammy Bowler that's going to be going in that car?
I'd imagine, because she's suited up ready to go, it'll be Alice Hughes gets back in that car, because she stood there in their racing gear, so I'd imagine that she's there just to
make sure that refueling doesn't have any unwanted spillages on the left rear corner of that car.
Yeah, so you can see Katie Miller now has taken off her race helmet and balaclava. She's pretty satisfied with that stint.
Yes, the lady with the pink unicorn onesie in the pit lane, which was quite funny when I was interviewing Jem Hepworth a bit earlier on, that there was a bit of jocularity behind us with Alice Hughes coming into shot, and then Katie Milner being dragged along with the pink unicorn onesie around her head.
Right.
So it just shows that racing drivers do a lot to keep themselves occupied over the 24 hours here at Silverstone.
Yes, they do. And what's interesting here now is that now that Muckatak Racing are in the lead, they're actually now lapping at least 2.5 seconds quicker. On that last lap, they were 2.5 seconds quicker than Simon Harrison. So this is a real chance now for Muckatak Racing. We see them now just on the left-hand side there. They were heading into the Tanners. Alice Hughes jumps into the 480, getting a help from Katie Milner to do up the seat belts. And
they are also changing the left front tyre on that car. So I think, as well, Callum Cripps actually said to me very, very definitively that the left front tyre is the one that really takes a pounding here at Silverstone.
Because it's a clockwise circuit, so you're going to be leaning on that front tyre. Because a front-wheel drive car, all the effort has to, all the steering, the braking, acceleration, all goes through the front. And of course, if it's a clockwise circuit, the car's leaning off to the left more times than not. So all the strains go on that front left. And we saw the example of just how bad these tyres can get, because it kind of showed us one of the tyres, and it was genuinely showing canvas. It was showing the cords, the metal fabric, the ply that keeps the tyres together. So you get a road tyre and you get it to go to slicks. You go any further forward,
or you literally rip the backside out of it and it will go to cords, as now Alice Hughes gets back underway for Team Merlin International.
And that was a pretty slick stop for them as well. That was a pretty sort of efficient
as the
and rapid
448
stop
of Team Rockingham now rejoins. They've had a bit of an up and down race, if I'm completely honest, but still good to see them going with just over 2 hours and 5 minutes remaining. As it's quite funny when I keep on hearing the beeps. As oh, bit of contact with C1 USA. Oh no! And who's that? That's ASR. ASR
in having 6th position.
That's real drama there. So that was definitely not what either party wanted there.
And I think somehow they've both got very lucky to get away with that, or have they got away with it? Well, they may or may not have done.
Oh,
that's
they're both pitting at the same time as well. Now let's have a look. Slight touch to the left rear, and then that was right front to left front wheel contact between the pair, and not just that, also the front fenders too. So and maybe both were angling for that pit stop, as they both are line astern. So C1 USA, obviously we heard from Ryan Cullen a bit earlier on. They're currently 86th with ASR. That could have been a heart in the mouth moment for the team that is currently 5th at the moment as they come into the pits.
It certainly was. That's Ryan Bensley at the wheel of that car.
Now, I've just noted something a little... Well, I mean, the tracking... I mean, the thing is that you have camber on these tyres as well.
You look at the front right.
I'm looking at the front right. It's slightly in. A bit like Virgin Australia supercars, where the front tyres are literally angled in at around 20 degrees.
Yeah, they do carry a lot of camber in that championship. Here's the replay again. Just clips inside and bang.
I have to say, what a save. What a save by the 416.
But you have to admit that wouldn't have been saved as well had it not been for the contact. Obviously not condoning the contact, obviously,
no.
But the fact that it kept in the right direction in the first place was as a consequence of just receiving the first and then the second tap from the ASR machine.
Like that from Sponge 1310, more excitement than F1, currently at Baku in Azerbaijan at the moment. I don't know what's going on. We're more interested in seeing what is happening over the next 2 hours and 3 minutes here at Silverstone. It's been, I have to say, it's just one of those events that comes once in a lifetime, and proud to be a part of it.
And we're getting to that stage now.
More rally crossing!
And I think he realised that he wasn't going to make the corner and thought, you know what, screw it, I'll just go off onto the runoff area and just rally cross way back onto the circuit.
It's like, I'll take the grass excursion point.
Yeah, pretty much.
More 2 by 2 hurrah down the straight here, which includes the 443.
And the 411's in there as well, and the 452, and the 452 as well.
452 is SCC Performance, as Rusty's racing back in the pits.
Yeah, and they're just sat next to the car that's just come in, which is the 390 after its collision of ASR. This is the custard car battled with the 309,
which was on its roof at 7:30 this morning. The custard car.
But it's driving as if it never happened, apart from the fact it's now missing its front and rear windscreens. But we'll gloss over that.
Buffeting.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying about that one.
Quite a lot.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, it's the coming back to that incident between ASR and C1 USA, I think with regards to the secondary point of contact was enabling that to happen.
This is the replay of what happened there. This is the, I can't quite catch who it was, but just lost the back end and just started sort of understeering wide as the car started to move around, and eventually just...
395, Dan Blake has just informed me, has gone into the pits, I believe. Is that? Oh, it's the one with the brie on top. Oh, you mean it's in the cheese? Fromage. Sorry. Yeah, so 395 has just entered the pits, and that's the
exit 13 squad. So that's Alan Evans, Matthew Plum, Paul Laurie, Andrew Marrott, Dean Hell, and Aston Dendy. They've been carrying apparently to start the race a piece of brie, a piece of cheese on the top of their car, and it's still there somehow through all the wind and rain.
That just shows, people say that brie is a soft cheese. We've now said that for 22 hours on a particular race car that's had wind, rain, sunshine thrown at it, and it's still on the top of the car. That's impressive.
It would work as an adhesive, wouldn't it, to make that work? And there's the Cop Endurance car, And we're now going 3 abreast again down the back straight, off Hanger Straight.
So at the moment, with just over 2 hours of the 2019 Distrigo Parts Distribution C1 24 Hours of Silverstone, it is still Mac Attack Racing with Wigan behind the wheel, and the gap now between them and Circuit Pro is now 1.5 minutes. This is the replay again of ASR. That's a bit of a biff to the from the left front to the right front of the 416 of C1 USA.
And they're both lucky to get away with that. They both found their way back onto the circuit, and no one else was involved in that. So it's rather cheeky that 416 also left it rather late to come into the pit lane. It's a bit of a signal in terms of